I am a warrior, preparing for war. I am a warrior.
I don't know if you noticed that we have a president. We have a new president. Some of you might have voted for him. Because some fucking people vote for him and lied. You know that, right? Every time I step to a microphone, I develop an uncontrollable urge to shout, Donald J. Trump is not my president. And not just because I didn't vote for the fool, not just because he's become the latest tool members of the contemporary clan pull out from their modern day sheets to remind us of when their cloths covered this whole land with the brutal hand of white racist terror. If you have ever had to dress down some melanin challenge motherfucker talking about all lives matter, raise your right hand and say amen. Amen. So you know exactly what I mean when I say Donald J. Trump can be recognized as nobody's motherfucking president. First of all, he's been breathing on this planet for 70 years and still has the vocabulary of a fucking third grader. Not to mention, his mouth always looks to me like an incontinent asshole that can't hold its own bullshit in, spewing the septic defecation of ignorance and discrimination, contaminating the already polluted air with inarticulate entitlement, steady providing validation for all them other white men who feel like equal opportunity for anyone else means we are trying to motherfucking oppress them. Donald J. Trump could never be my president because he began his political career by questioning the legitimacy of the first black president elected in a country built upon the hard-working backs of African Americans. He could never be my president because he had the gall to call for Barack Obama's birth papers as if this were 1831 and he was one of them cruel white men, free to grab any black body and demand documents. In the America you say we are trying to create, men like that can no more lead us than can a predominantly white police force protect the black descendants of the very brown bodies they enslaved to gain the racial advantage they refuse to let go of, no matter how obvious it is that in America, race and opportunity are linked like poverty and the fucking prison system, like rape and a woman's right to choose, like who has wealth and who pays the least taxes, like gerrymandering and who gets the fucking right to vote. It is time for poor white folks in this country to admit they've all been sold a 6 for a fucking 9. This con artistry of race and sex and economy isn't new. Donald J. Trump is just another white knot in the noose they keep tying around the necks of the disadvantaged majority. Just another fairy tale in the elaborate inheritance of lies they sell to anyone who isn't rich or white or longing for the good old days when racially cloaked narratives of nationality was the only history available to average Americans, fed to them to keep them from being woke, to keep them from poking too deeply into whose pockets most of the wealth that ordinary people work for from 9 to 5 every day in this fucking country goes. Black people have had enough of this systematic bullshit. Between the 500 years of unrelenting racism and the recent rise of this fake ass, overtanned, idiotic orangutan, black bodies have got no more fucking tears left to cry. We ready to try some next level shit, to resurrect some Black Panther, Angela Davis, Assata Shakur shit. I'm willing to bet the rest is true for y'all motherfuckers. I'm willing to bet you know that the state of things as they are is unacceptable. Having spent my whole life fighting for better than this, I refuse to give deference to this walking, shameful evidence of what fear and prejudice and a little Russian interference can birth in a nation obviously asleep at the wheel of our own democratic elections. Donald J. Trump is not my president because his tenure in the White House is a result of unchecked sexism, a culture of rape, and the ever-present undercurrents of a newly emerging 21st century Ku Klux Klan. Donald J. Trump is not my president because he wants to fucking disappear my Muslim neighbors, because he wants to deport Mexican-American families, because he fails to recognize that the only Americans who are not immigrant Americans are native fucking Americans. He is not my president because he sexualizes his very own daughter. He will never be my president because I want to clearly demonstrate to my daughter that a man who boasts about grabbing women by their vaginas without their permission does not ever deserve her respect, no matter who he is or how rich he says he is. That even though that egotistical airhead masterminded and pulled off the greatest political coup in the history of modern elections, he remains nothing but an illegitimate, embarrassing burden I hope we don't have to carry for fucking 8 years. Every time I see this orange snake slithering around on my screen, I want to break the fucking TV, rip it off the wall and let it fall from my 5th floor apartment. I wish I could close my eyes and pretend that none of this is happening. But if you don't keep your eyes open, the consequences of it will be catastrophic. Every kind of resistance is necessary. When the arm of injustice persists, we have to develop new ways to resist. We have to keep changing tactics. We cannot be discouraged by these political tricks of distraction. It might take longer than we anticipated to get this fucker off our TVs and out of office and outside our collective consciousness. It really could take all 8 years. But you have to fucking remember this. You have to keep the truth of what you know. You have to know that this buffoon cannot lead you, so you cannot follow him to the sordid places this administration will push us to go, no matter how normalized the actions of this incredibly imbecilic and inhumane administration, no matter how numb you become to what these news anchors keep saying. You have to say something different to yourself. Donald J. Trump is not my president. Donald J. Trump is not my president. Has never been my president. Will never be my president. You have to make that shit mantra. You have to say it to your fish. You have to say it to your fucking parrot. You have to say it to every Republican you come across. You have to say it over and over and over again. And one day, when everybody else sees that this man is no more than a snake oil salesman, no more than a Cheeto-dusted Freddy Krueger invading every aspect of our lives, like all the great walls of divisiveness built before him, he will motherfucking fall, revealing the yellow bellies of all those who brought him to power. And whoever is responsible, whoever is fucking responsible for this shit, be it Vladimir or one of them funny looking Trump children, whoever that Iago motherfucker is, he will have to answer to the rest of humanity for this orange, small-handed wrinkle in this bumbleclot warp in time.